back to the farm, everyone. Back at the feeding trough first thing this morning. Getting geared up to hopefully start spraying again. It's always easy after a lot of rain to tell where the tile lines are. There's one right there, and there's one maybe 40 foot over there, if not 50 or 60. We've got some, just not enough. It's hot and humid out here, so I'm back in safari mode to protect my beautiful sensitive skin from all of the UVs from our beloved sun. To get you guys up to speed, I lack about 950 acres of corn and soybeans with fungicide to spray. A lot of that has been ground conditions. The beans, for the most part, are close. A few of our fields are maybe a little bit past perfect. Corn, because it was also planted late, is kind of right where I'd normally like to spray it. About 250 acres of corn and 600 to 700 acres of beans. Problem being 300 of those acres, 300 plus of them actually, are 40 miles to the west. So probably gonna try to get all this sprayed around home this evening and tomorrow, and then transition our efforts over west and have everything wrapped up in just a couple of short days here. That's the major con of the ground rig sprayers with fungicide. If it's this wet enough to see the tile lines and hurt the beans, you can guess that it was too wet to drive across here. I could probably spray right now, might be a tad bit on the tacky side in spots. However, a lot of these fields are close enough by tomorrow. We're just gonna go ahead, green light them and get across them and get it done. These crazy planting season with a wide variety of plant dates, delayed planting, moisture, water damage are just a real can of worms, not only to deal with in the present in April and May, they also cause a lot of chaos back into June, July, and August when it comes to timing your herbicides, timing your fungicides, a lot of sporadic stuff going on, just trying to get these timings right. The rains haven't helped. And we're not even going to begin to talk about harvest, because right now, Dad and I are projecting maybe 20% of our soybeans will probably cut in September. The rest most likely will be August cutting. If they're late to get fungicide, not ready yet, you know they're not going to mature early come fall. So it's going to be a long one, I think, this year, folks. And that's not even accounting for poor weather, which I hope we don't get. It's always so amazing how you can have one field that hasn't even got fungicide sprayed on it yet because of timing. And then you've got these March beans that had fungicide sprayed on them 5 weeks ago. What's even crazier, and I don't know if they will amount to anything, is that these beans are still blooming in spots, meaning they're still trying to put new pods on. Knowing they were planted early, these are a 3-4 bean. It's probably 5 weeks at a minimum out from harvesting. More realistically, maybe 6 or 7 weeks. Once you get about 4 weeks out from harvest, they'll start to drop color. I'm glad, as of right now, other than some water damage, we're not seeing any SDS pressure yet. And I may have just jinxed us. I probably shouldn't have said anything. Other than maybe having some damage in the darker lower lying part of this farm from the big rains in July, I'm still counting on these being in the upper echelon of our soybeans. I don't think they're going to be 100 bushel beans because of the water. I don't see why they wouldn't make at least 80 though. Could be wrong. We'll see what happens when the combines roll. It's time to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Life sure can be stressful. With the pressures of work, the family, and these mangy dogs, it does not take a whole lot to feel overwhelmed when it comes to making the right dietary choices day in and day out. Thankfully, with the help of Factor, it doesn't have to be that hard. With a young, active family, our fridge is usually an assortment of leftovers, fresh fruit, and a ton of farm fresh eggs. But my favorite thing to see is a nice, fresh shipment of Factor meals to have when I'm ready. We're gonna be having one of my favorites, the Tex-Mex beef bowl, for lunch. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. It quite literally takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success. Instead, you can have chef-prepared meals on your table ready to eat in just 2 minutes thanks to Factor, so you can get back to work or play, whatever you're up to. I'm not the only one in the house that gets excited for the Factor meal deliveries. My wife and 2 boys also enjoy to have one occasionally for lunch or when they need a nice meal. And it sure beats picking up some junk food at the drive-thru in both taste and finances. I've really enjoyed having something readily available that's flexible like these factor meals. Of course, as I've mentioned numerous times, tasty. It's nice being able to adjust the quantity if you want to order multiple for a week or you think you're going to be out of the area. As a farmer, having something that's ready to go at any time when I'm on the move is super beneficial to my eating habits and overall lifestyle. It's pretty impressive how much time you can save every day by having a meal like this that can be ready to eat in 2 minutes. Takes stress off your plate, allows you to get things done faster. If you've not tried Factor yet, I cannot recommend it enough. If you head over to factor75.com and use code aTrippyFarmer50, you will get 50% off your first order and 20% off the next order. That is a win-win deal. It's something you should look into if you're trying to have more consistent, nutritious meals or trying to lose some weight. Factor takes the stress of preparing meals off the table, and it might just save you money versus takeout and even making some of your own meals. Again, that is factor75.com. Use code aTrippyFarmer50. That's 50% off your first order and 20% off your next order. These meals are just so tasty. It's amazing. I'm thrilled to get to work with Factor. Thanks for sponsoring the video. Everyone, make sure you check them out. I got all of my scouting done yesterday. We added all the numbers up, had Dad pick up a load, and then yesterday evening I decided to spray a couple of fields. That is after it cooled down, because the feels-like temperature with the heat and humidity was knocking on 110 degrees. Of course, after sitting outside for a week or so, my auto boom height control on the Hagee was acting up, so I need to fix that, or at least look at it and see if it's fixable. There may or may not be a spot. Missing some beans. Those were decent looking beans. Oh well, we're doing business. Yesterday my left inside NORAC height sensor was showing up no communication. I looked at the wires, they all look fine. I'm just going to clean the connections, and if that doesn't fix it, we're going to run our manual today. Don't really have a choice. That's not entirely true. I do have a choice. I'm just choosing to not do the most expensive choice right now. I think it's just a matter of time before this thing actually does need replaced. Didn't end up having to do it first thing this spring. That doesn't mean that it's not something that needs done. I believe this plug is the one that goes to that left inside height sensor, so that's why I'm cleaning it. It's also the one that looks like it's in the worst shape, which makes sense. Unfortunately, I have high hopes. Usually just leads to disappointment. Oh? They're all showing up. They weren't showing up earlier or yesterday. This one was showing no communication. Let's see what happens. It's working here in the lot. For now. Maybe we won't rake any soybeans out today. Could have been cleaning the wire, could have just been because the battery was off overnight, and that was enough to reboot everything and make it work. Probably putting my money on cleaning the connections though. We've got enough chemical on the tanker to finish the rest of our beans around home, not including the 300 acres over in western Shelby County. Probably gonna get those first thing in the morning while there's still a nice dew. Plan is to finish beans today and then spray the last 250 acres of corn and be done with fungicide here around home. That would essentially finish us up on our fungicide around home. The bad news is that most of what remains is later planted and poorer looking stuff, so don't expect me to be in a great mood. It is what it is. These are the spots you hate to see after this season. Some nice, almost dead soybeans out here. Not a lot working in our favor in terms of high yield when you get late planting and then water damage together. We switched gears, got all of our beans around home sprayed, moved on to corn. I've got all but 4 fields that are all a little bit of a drive to finish up. While we're out here, Paul, the Pioneer agronomist, looked at these beans and he said although they don't look great, he's still pretty confident, barring any further intervention from Mother Nature, that they might still have 70 bushel yield potential. He said if we don't want to bring the combine to the field because they're not worth doing, he'll bring a combine and take care of them, which is a good vote of confidence. If those make 70, I would be shocked. There's our old friend, the spray helicopter. I don't know if that's the local airport company or if that's the heli team that did a lot of spraying for us a few years ago through Nutrien. Those guys are exciting to watch work. I'm I'm more of like watching paint dry sometimes. I was having a non-eventful afternoon of spraying. I had 3 fields left to go with no issues up until moving to this last field. I was coming down a somewhat narrow country road and there was a motorcycle coming. So I thought, you know what, I'll get over a little bit. This ditch looks fine, and give the motorcycle plenty of room and stop. And that was very nice of me until I forgot the saying that no good deed goes unpunished. Because I was transporting a little bit of a load on the sprayer, the ditch was deeper and wetter than I thought. It kind of sucked me over and pulled me up against some trees, and that happened in the chaos of me trying to spin my way out. Yeah, I definitely should have turned the camera on, but I was just so angry mashing the hydrostat back and forth, trying to get out of that wet ditch, that it's a good thing that that is the only thing that broke, hopefully. I'm gonna have to spray the rest, which is not very much of this corn, with the front boom on. That's obviously not preferable. However, I'm not gonna wait on 80 acres just because I don't have a rear boom. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it. The frustrating and ironic part is, like, I was trying to be nice, and the motorcycle did nothing wrong. I mean, he went on down his way. He didn't even know I was stuck. I didn't even know I was stuck until about 30 seconds after he went by. And now I got a broken half section of this stainless steel. That's probably half-inch plumbing. I wouldn't think that'd be expensive, but I know it will be because it'll be a dear part. So yeah, no good deed goes unpunished, folks. Next time I'm just gonna run the motorcycle off the road, then I won't have to fix stuff on the sprayer. Just a joke, I always try to be super courteous. That's just a frustrating miscalculation on my part. About need my windshield wipers with this front boom on. It's cool to see the pattern, but it's not cool to see the chemical all over your windshield. They've about got our new raceway finished up. 2 coats of asphalt on top, and they rocked the shoulders today. Now we just need to get these darn cones out of the way. They're very inconvenient when you're in a wide implement, tractor, machine, whatever. I'm glad I'm done spraying corn because that is painful to look at. At least it happened on the last day. I've also done myself the favor of adding a line item to next year's budget for a new rear boom plumbing. I didn't bend these things at all. They were already bent when I bought the sprayer. That though is pretty flimsy, probably by design. Happens. When you work, you break things occasionally. Everything I have left that I'm planning to finish tomorrow morning is soybeans, so I don't even use the rear boom. Might just drop it off so I don't have to have people judging me as they pass me. Pull her out to the wash bay and clean this window off. There's a big forecasted cool down in temperature today, cold front moving through, and you can kind of see the fall-like weather out there, overcast. It's not raining, and the 75 degrees feels a lot better than the 90 we had about 4 hours ago. There's a very drastic shift in the temperature outside. Like, it's pretty nice right now. It was unbearable earlier. Well, that nozzle body's broken. Never seen that pattern before. I'm giving up on this for now. It's kind of tight in here. I don't have my tools with me. They're all in my truck, and I brought the side-by-side to work this morning. So we'll get her in the morning before we spray beans. The dogs are excited this morning because it's like a fall day outside. Mid-60s right now, overcast. This is perfect fungicide spraying weather. Oh, you disagree? We better get to work because we got a long drive ahead of us. You guys try to be nice to each other. Here comes the referee. the nice thing about taking this off is I don't have to worry about breaking it, because I already did that yesterday. Not having a dinky rear boom attached is a reason enough alone to consider getting a full rear boom sprayer. It would be nice to demo a Fendt one of these days. Probably too late for this season. This should effectively be my last day of full spraying. I may still do some trial work after this, but where I'm going to spray is the last thing that has to be done. I had a dream last night that someone's center pivot blew away, and it showed up here at our farm mashed up against our bins. I don't know if that was a dream or a nightmare, or if it means I need to go to the doctor and get checked out, because I think the nearest center pivot's probably at least 30 miles away, if not farther. Not a lot of those around. There's a little bit of a mist coming down this morning. Really not enough to matter, so we're gonna keep the hammer down. After an hour on the road, maybe a little bit under, we are here. Just waiting on the tanker, should be here any moment. We've got the timing down pretty nicely at this point. These cool days, cool nights we're having for this next week are going to be huge for the corn crop, especially the earlier planted stuff that's starting to fill the kernels. Those low temperatures take a lot of stress off, allow it to pack in the sugars. That early corn may have some big yield potential on the table.
I just got unfolded, and here comes the tanker right there. He was coming from Helena, I came from the home farm. That's perfect timing. And look at these 30-inch row beans. Holy cow. They're beautiful and bushy.
Other than a few minimal wet spots, these late planted 30-inch row X beans in western Shelby County look phenomenal. And I'm really impressed with the weed control on the 30 inches. That's the most surprising part. They're cleaner than some of our 20-inch rows that have had a lot more chemistry thrown at them. Which doesn't really make sense. It's so much less stressful in these 30-inch rows being able to actually drive back and forth without doing a tremendous amount of damage. I'm sure I pull down a few branches as I go through, especially because the ground's a little bit wet. It's nothing like those 20s though, because once you drive through, those beans are probably dead. That's pretty much a wrap on fungicide, other than a little trial work here and there. Beans look okay over here in western Shelby County, Tower Hill, Pana, which is actually Christian County. Corn looks really good. Those rains have made a big impact on the top end yield potential. Don't know if it'll be a record. Looks good from the road though. Made it back home from Tower Hill safe and sound, which is always good news. I've never heard it be bad to get home safe and sound. Essentially done spraying, time to start thinking about some fall chemical programs. I mentioned last video for your opinions, if anyone has any other opinions on what we should be doing this fall on our soybean stubble to keep the winter annuals out of our cornfields the next year, definitely drop that in the comments. Trying to see what we can do, find the balance between what's the most effective and what makes the most sense financially. So again, drop it in the comments, let me know, I appreciate it. Anyways, you can effectively consider fungicide spraying done. I'm just out right now looking at some crops, March beans, starting to wrap up shop, fill out the pods. Better start thinking about getting the combines ready, because these things might cut here in another 5 weeks, 6 weeks. They plant early, they harvest early. That's usually the way it goes. Chris and Jeff have been diligently working on that last bin site over to the east while I've been spraying with Dad. We've got maybe 20,000 bushels left to haul, and then we're done. We're gonna have this last cheap corn off the farm just in time to close the doors up and start loading them again. I may continue my route around the countryside doing a little crop scouting, but I'm shutting this show down for today. I greatly appreciate every single one of you tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!